the money out the quicksand when I'm getting stuck. Gotta roll a quick gram, this gon' get me stuck.
Now connected to Kid Brew.
With Invincible Season 2 in the books and Season 3 on the horizon, I thought it'd be nice to inform the good people of Urath what's around the corner. Season 2 really cleaned up a lot of messy plot threads, positioning pieces for the story's golden age to come. I know it sounds weird after watching 2 action-packed, emotionally charged seasons of a show, but believe me when I say, now the story truly begins. If there's one word to sum up Season 3 thematically for Mark, it's gonna be control.
I have to get better. I have to learn how to control myself.
Before we get soaked in blood and suffer severe emotional, consider leaving. We're going to discuss events from comic issues yet to be adapted in the show. If you don't want spoilers, you know you do, run away. Stay for a while, hang out. Medium rare spoilers ahead. My goal is to get you hyped without ruining stuff completely. Enjoy responsibly. Backed by knowledge of the comics and armed with recent character model leaks, I have a pretty good idea of what's around the corner. So I've laid out a rough timeline of events for Season 3 that I think should stand up pretty well. Let's go deep and take it episode by episode, starting with the season premiere dropping March 25th, 2032. Grab your cans lock and get comfy.
The Prison Break.
I think the showrunners have a glaring opportunity to start the season off with and it would fall in line with the past 2 seasons starting away from our protagonist. I think most episodes of Season 3 will cut between Mark's storyline on Earth and Nolan's journey throughout space. It'll embrace this duality until the finale in which Mark's story coincides with Viltrum once more. First things first, expect our narrator, Paul F. Tompkins, to return for Cock down, but not lock down, but not out. The story of 2 prisoners turned lovers. The story of Nolan and Alan's fast-growing friendship behind bars, and how Nolan gets his mojo back.
Yeah, baby!
The 2 muscle-bound aliens concoct a 3-step plan. Number 1, create a distraction. Number 2, free prisoners. And 3, recruit strong prisoners. They recruit, Battle Beast, whatever. It's not cool at all. And they break out in a chaotic brawl with the 2 Viltrumite executioners. One of them, poor guy, gets, Once out, Nolan reveals to Alan the Viltrumite's greatest secret. The reason why Nolan's execution was delayed: no more Viltrumites will arrive at the prison because... In other news, Oliver gets powers. In issue 42 of the comics, our little Grimace surprises Mark by flying during a brotherly game of catch. Mark and Eve will share a premature kiss. He'll have to contemplate whether or not his love is predicated on her future self admitting her feelings, or rather on the relationship they've cultivated and the fact that she's the fucking best and he should stop being a dumbass and date her. There should be some action for Mark this episode, likely a fight at the Smithsonian. Another team up with Rex, this time against Fightmaster and Dropkick. Heroes from the future, thieves to the present, stealing the Declaration of Independence for reasons later revealed. During their fight with the futuristic martial artists, Mark and Rex discuss Eve, and Rex actually urges Mark to make things work with her. Nothing like a to get your ego in check.
I don't know why I had to get my brains blown out to see that.
Their fight is rudely interrupted by Kate's brother, who's escaped from prison, Multiple. Multiple Pauls attack Rex, who Paul blames for Kate's alleged death. We see Mark defend Rex here, furthering their cute little bond. Once Paul is put back in prison where he belongs for stopping Rex and Mark from preventing the robbery, Underworld boss Mr. Liu instructs Titan to break that douchebag back out, who obliges. I think episode 1 will end with the beginning of a catastrophic event I've dubbed the Subterranean War, where Doc Seismic successfully captures tons of notable heroes, including the Guardians. Cliffhanger alert. On to episode 2, Mark and Eve rush to the hero's location but are quickly combated by Doc Seismic's legion of massive under-earth monsters. In a shocking turn of events, the obscenely powerful creatures take out Eve and Mark rather quickly, and Doc Seismic, of all villains, proclaims his victory. Cecil then calls in his last measure, the army of Sinclair's Reanimen, led by the murderous Darkwing 2. When Darkwing seizes Doc, he's punched in the back by Mark, who addresses the dozens of heroes about Darkwing, but they're all clueless of the killer's crimes in Midnight City.
Darkwing was at my 12th birthday party, so I'm pretty sure he doesn't kill people.
After the fight, Mark confronts Cecil about Darkwing and the Reanimen. Good time for D.A. Sinclair to walk in? He agrees. Mark's rage grows. Cecil's fear grows. What happens next is one of my favorite parts of the comic. It's a clash of principles, one sacrificing morals for the protection of the planet, the other with hyper-rigid morals and fear of losing them. It's relativism versus absolutism. In Season 2, Cecil only tells Mark what he needs to hear to benefit himself.
I'm stronger, I'm ready.
No, you're not. You're not, Mark.
1 hour later.
Put me back out there.
Someone get this kid an earpiece.
I don't need your permission to be a superhero.
You know who else said that to me? You're not your father, Mark.
I need to listen to myself before I listen to you.
Your father felt the same way. You're not him. If the bad guys are dead and the good guys are alive, that's a good day.
This very black and white stance he takes is a bullshit facade covering what's actually a utilitarian gray area. It was the first issue of Invincible that alerted me to the very weighty themes to come, propelling the story beyond greatness. This whole shebang really puts things in perspective for Mark, making him realize what matters. Eve. He cements his feelings for her, and they finally make it official. But something looms in the shadows, watching, waiting, through a mysterious surveillance orb. Who does it belong to? Among the stars, we find Nolan and Alan exploring their sexuality. We find Nolan and Alan venturing out at Thetis' request to collect resources in preparation for war, starting with Space Racer's Infinity Ray left somewhere in the Nebuloid Belt by Nolan. What they find, I cannot say. Episode 3 will give us what we've all been waiting for, the dawn of the blue and black suit, as well as Oliver's new superhero identity, Kid Omni-Man. Super tasteful. The Mauler twins strike again, taking control of the very same missile base the Lizard League infiltrated. After the Guardians of the Globe get clapped, I don't know, they suck. Mark and Oliver fight the Maulers. One of the twins fires a missile into the sun and Mark rushes to stop it. Oliver then accidentally slaughters both Maulers in a gory mess of organs and bones. When Mark scolds Oliver for killing them, the young Thraxan Viltrumite confesses his apathy towards human life at large. Jesus Christ, Oliver, were you dropped as a baby? When Oliver asks Mark if he ever feels like their father was correct in his argument against humanity, Mark's reply is, sometimes. After lashing out at Oliver and Debbie for her telling her boyfriend of his super identity, Mark's concerned that his anger is getting the best of him. He fears his own growing power and losing control of it. But Eve consoles him, grounds him. Mark reconciles with Oliver, explaining that although flawed, humanity is always worth defending, but Oliver still holds some resentment. It's then that Oliver notices a glimmer in the bushes. Before Mark can grasp it, the spy orb self-destructs, leaving only scraps. Mark knows he's being watched. Switching gears, our unstoppable coalition duo attempts to capture some of those Ragnars that Nolan wrote about. Back at home, Rudy identifies the scraps left by the orb as a surveillance device. Mark hoped Rudy could give him evidence to support his theory on who's behind it, but the technology's too advanced. Mark accuses Cecil, who denies the allegation and requests Mark's help with a mission. Take out the rampaging giant and bring to justice an alleged murderer named Gary Hampton, aka Wolfman. But when Invincible attempts to take Wolfman in for the murder of his wife, he pleads innocent, claiming that his mentor-turned-betrayer Zechariah is the true killer, which is fact. Mark believes him and takes him back to Cecil to talk, but Cecil attempts to restrain them both. And you'll have to wait for the rest. I predict a post-credits scene proving Cecil's innocence in piloting those pesky orbs.
Hate those things.
So, who is behind them? Big spoiler alert. It's Angstrom Levy. What, you thought he died? What gave you any indication of that? This is a superhero story. Nobody's ever dead. Until they are, and it's really fucking sad. Eve starts a company called Invincible Inc. to monetize Mark's superheroing for them to start building their life. Goddamn angel that she is. We'll see a skirmish at Stronghold Penitentiary this episode. Mark instigates a fight with Titan, who's there to break Paul out. The impatient Mr. Liu surfaces to handle the task himself. Invincible fends off Liu while Titan escapes, and Liu ends up escaping too with Paul. Later, Liu attempts to seize Titan's operation, but he and Isotope defend their empire, sparking a gang war. Meanwhile, in space, other anti-Viltrumite materials are procured, and the Geldarian hero Tech Jacket is recruited. He's a kid who was bestowed one of the most powerful weapons in the universe, a jacket.
It's the jacket!
Mark and Eve have their date night interrupted by Fightmaster and Dropkick. Mark begrudgingly accompanies them to the future to help assassinate their tyrannical king, revealed to be an insane, morally corrupt immortal. I won't go into detail, but Mark leaves highly disturbed. Returning to Eve less than a second after leaving, time travel rules, the couple finish their dreamy date across the world before knocking boots. Post-credit scene, Angstrom Levy has grouped together 16 evil marks from other dimensions, all prepared to ravage Earth and tarnish the name Invincible. Enter husband and father Scott Duvall. This government scientist steals and combines biotherm discs that trap body heat with his God-given energy absorption powers, becoming Powerplex, an anti-hero seeking retribution on Invincible. Scott lost his sister, Jessica, in the devastating fight between Omni-Man and Invincible. Blinded by grief, Powerplex is convinced of Mark's collusion and wishes to end him. This episode will focus on Duvall's hunt for Invincible and its disturbing consequences. The character of Powerplex really serves to exacerbate Mark's crippling guilt and fear of negative impact. We may also see Mark threaten to kill Amber's new abusive boyfriend. This scene shows Mark's rage and capacity for violence peaking due to his stress, though it could be neglected by the writers in fear of making Amber a victim. Flashback months ago. Angstrom miraculously survives Mark's beating, and with the last of his consciousness, drags himself into a dimension of alien doctors he had on standby. Flash forward to the ill-fated present. Evil Invincibles descend from portals in the sky like H-bombs ready to wreak havoc. We have confirmation from recent leaks that this event, known as the Invincible War, will indeed unfold in Episode 7. Notable Mark variants confirmed in the series are Viltrumite Mark, Child Killing Mark, Taxi Driver Mark, Long-Haired Mark, and Little Piggies Mark. In the comic, there are several more likely to appear. We got COVID Mark, Omni Mark, Mustache Mark, Goggles Mark, No Goggles Mark, Bulletproof Mark, Scrotum Mark, Flaxen Mark, and even more. For 3 whole days, they fight to raise the world, targeting major cities like London, Hong Kong, Moscow, and of course, for what was an Image Comics crossover event in the books, Amazon will replace licensed characters like Spawn or The Darkness with series original characters. The Invincible War will, however, introduce some of Kirkman's other comic book creations. Brit, a virtually indestructible man with only human-level strength. He had his own comic in the early 2000s, but became a regular in the Invincible Universe series. We also see Best Tiger in the leaks, a ridiculously skilled Chinese gunman who will join the Guardians of the Globe. Carnage and mayhem ensues on a global level. I won't spoil the details or conclusion, but following the event, witnessing firsthand the casualties of his doppelganger's warpath, Invincible broods in shame. And in an absurd twist of fate, Anissa's threat from Season 2 is suddenly realized.
But soon, another will come. And if he finds you still resistant to your destiny, he will demonstrate the error of your ways, and this whole planet will pay the price.
Leading into Episode 8, Mark is approached by a looming figure. Expecting Mark's resistance, Viltrum has sent another agent whose record shows every chosen planet successfully assimilated. Conquest. The old vicious brute doesn't fight for honor. He doesn't fight for glory. He doesn't even fight for Viltrum. He fights for blood. Overflowing with guilt, shame, and rage, Mark welcomes the opportunity to hit something as hard as he can. The two Viltrumites brawl like animals, leveling buildings, taking it to the stars, and back down to Earth. This lengthy and messy battle is Mark's breaking point. Not only does he lose control, but these compounded events force him to change his code. Gone are the days when Invincible leaves significant threats to humanity alive. The season will probably end with Thetis revealing to Nolan that his genetic code created the Scourge virus, a disease that specifically targets Viltrumite DNA, and he has developed a new, stronger strain. Go ahead and drop a like and subscribe for more Invincible content coming soon. Till next time, Invinciheads.
For sure.